So happy to see you, some of you again. Okay, right. See, next two classes or 2 days, what we'll be doing a fast revision, fast forwarded revision. We'll not cover all the topics. What exactly we'll be covering? Whatever I feel that it is important for preliminary examination, right? Those topics predominantly will be covering. And some of the current affairs information is also I'll just try to accommodate within this discussion, right? And of course, maybe tomorrow we'll be talking about some of the very important map locations of the world. You are aware that the preliminary examination has been postponed, right? Okay. Some of you it is good, some of you it is bad. People who have studied, say for example, almost whoever this preparation, this is not the greatest news, right? Because once you start your intense preparation, somewhere you fix your mind that yes, May 26th will be the day. Okay, you would have planned accordingly, right? So all of a sudden it was shifted to June 16th. But it's a very, very good news for the people who have not started their preparation. Okay, right. Okay, whatever it is, okay, see, including today, my dear friends, somewhere around 78 days you have, right? 78 days is huge, right? Even today, people always ask me this question: if I start this preparation today, can I qualify this examination? Right? Assume that you don't ask this question on June 15th, correct? Okay. Now, if you ask this question today, if you start your serious preparation, you understand what is a serious preparation, right? Okay. Almost say, for example, focus only on UPSC, minimum 12 to 14 hours, right? Forget about 14 hours, maximum you take it as what, 12 hours. Somewhere I can extend my studies for 12 hours a day, right? I'm just telling you, right? Even today, if you start your intense preparation, assuming that, say, for example, you know the very basics of this preparation already, even then you can qualify this examination, right? But only thing is that kindly follow some SOPs, right? I repeatedly say that if you want to qualify this examination, preliminary examination, one thing is very, very important. You have to solve as many MCQs as possible. See, I'm writing it. Even yesterday, one batch I was just telling. Somewhere, if you can able to solve 10,000 to 12,000 questions, right? Or make it as, say, for example, right, 100 to 120 question papers. Okay. So, given the time, forget about 120, keep it as 100 question papers, right? The question papers I'm also including the CSAT papers. Somewhere, if I can solve 100 question paper, I feel that like we are there in a safe zone, my dear friends, right? Whatever you study, that is okay, very important. You have to revise it, that is also very important. But let me tell you again and again, if you are not solving MCQs, multiple choice questions, if you are not solving it, clearing this preliminary examination becomes very difficult. I'm not saying you cannot do it, but this is one very, very important exercise what you have to do before qualifying or just for qualifying this examination. Okay, right. Now, my dear friends, what we'll do, right? Maybe today or morning class, we'll just try to somewhere revise this, the very basic concepts, basic ideas about geography, and I'll also talk about geomorphology. Okay. But you know that geomorphology is not so important for preliminary examination. Geomorphology is more important for mains examination. If you ask me, okay, physical geography of the world, one of the areas that I have to concentrate, you have to concentrate more on this chapter called as climatology and this chapter called as what? Ocean of ocean. So these are the areas or these are the two topics where maximum number of questions will be revolving, right? One small clarification, maximum number of questions in geography will be revolving. Okay. Because the question in geography itself is what very less. Only last year is an exception, right? Barring the last year, normally if you ask me physical geography, how many questions I'll be having? Somewhere around 7 to 10 questions. Somewhere, right? Maximum I'll be having only this many number of questions in physical geography, right? To be very precise, not even 10. 10 is just to motivate you, right? Most of the time, what we'll be having in physical geography is only around 7 or 8 questions. Okay. In this 7 or 8 questions, as I said, maximum number of questions will be revolving around chapters like climate, ocean, and few areas of Indian geography. Okay. So we'll be giving more emphasis to these topics. Okay. Right. So before giving emphasis, as I said, we'll just start with these basic facts. Like wherever past year's questions we are able to solve it, that also we'll just solve it. Okay. Right, my dear friends. Now, let me start with the very basic facts. Very basic facts. See this, the shape of the earth, rotation, revolution, and all, we'll leave it. Okay. I assume that you know everything, right? What is the shape of the Earth? Geoid. That's what I said. You know it. Okay, right. Now, fine. We know about the shape of the Earth. Then somewhere when I just talk about this Earth movement, my dear friends, predominantly these two movements put together with Earth movement. What is this movement? You call them as what? Rotation and revolution. Right. What is rotation? We know. What is rotation? Okay, somewhere when I just talk about the angular movement on its own axis, or make it very simple, spin of Earth, you call them as what? Rotation. Movement of Earth around the sun, we call them as what? Revolution. Okay, now, sometimes what adds to the complexity is that rotation and revolution takes place simultaneously. That is just because of this fact, my dear friends. Somewhere, if you remember, we actually talked about two types of days that, say, for example, normally what we take into consideration. One, you call them as what? Synodic day. And the synodic day is sometimes also called as what? Solar. And we also talk about the sidereal. See, sidereal day, most of the time we'll be using the sidereal day only for the scientific observations, right? Otherwise, on a day-to-day parlance, whenever I said, just now I said 78 days are there. To be very precise, what we have is what? 78 synodic days. Am I right? Right. Now, what is a synodic day or solar day? Whenever I just talk about rotation, what is this rotation? Just now we have defined rotation, or you know rotation. Spin of Earth on its own axis, you call them as what? Rotation. Now, the question is, whenever I just talk about the spin of Earth, right, there comes the question with respect to what, right? If at all Earth is rotating or completing one rotation with respect to Sun, you call them as what? Synodic day, right? If at all if it is completing one rotation with respect to a distant object, am I right? Maybe a distant star, a point of infinity, then you call them as what? Sidereal. Okay. Why exactly there comes the difference between sidereal day and synodic day, if you ask me, for the simple reason that Earth is rotating as well as what? Revolving. That is the reason we have this basic difference between sidereal day and synodic day. Okay, right. And approximately, what is the angular difference, if you ask me, between both? Approximately, the angular distance is, right, difference is 1 degree. And what exactly is the temporal difference or time difference? 4 minutes. So this fact also gives you an idea that when I just talk about Earth, right, for every 4 minutes, Earth approximately rotates how many degree? 1 degree, right? If at all, if I'm just taking 360-degree, obviously, say for example, that many minutes you take it, it will be accounting or amounting for what? 24 hours. Okay. So what is this sidereal day and synodic day? We have an idea. Okay. Now, rotation, if at all, if a question can be asked, they can ask you this, sidereal and synodic. Already once they have asked, not in civil service examination, but CAPF examination, they have asked this question. Okay, right. Now, my dear friends, revolution, assuming that I know what is a revolution, movement of Earth around the sun, you call them as what? Revolution. And one more thing, this class, somewhere I'm just delivering, taking into consideration that all the basics. It is something like, say, for example, I'm just brushing that, right? All the dust particles, what is there, I'm just brushing it out. That's all. Okay, right. Fine. Now, my dear friends, right. When I just talk about revolution, somewhere we said that movement of Earth around the sun, you call them as what? Revolution. And this one complete revolution, we call them as what? 1 year. So what is the point? Somewhere we tried, so for example, insisting. Normally we have a perception that 1 year is how long? How long is 1 year? Normally we have a perception that it is 365 days and 6 hours. This is the, say for example, popular fact what we have, right? 365 days and 6 hours. And that's the reason, say for example, 6 hours, I cannot have it as what? A separate, say for example, day. So what do you do? Say for example, you start, say for example, accumulating these 6 hours at least for 4 years. And accordingly, at the end of every 4 year, I'll be having one leap year. Am I right? You'll be having one extra day. Am I right? How lucky you are. Leap year also you have. Exam also got postponed. Am I right? Double lucky. Okay, right. Whatever is the case, this year I understand it is a year of what? Leap year. Now, why exactly? What is a leap year? Why exactly leap year comes every 4 years? We have an idea. But I also said leap year does not, right, every time or for every 4 years once, leap year will not come. Somewhere I told you, right, if at all of the given year is centuries, for example, right, 1700 AD, 1800 AD, right, 1900 AD, right, these are the years which is not a leap year. These years, we consider them as what? Ordinary years. Then comes the question, why these years are ordinary year? Somewhere we justified the fact that the time taken for Earth to complete one revolution is actually not 365 days and 6 hours. This is a popular fact. What is the actual fact we have taken? Somewhere it is 365 days, 5 hours, 48 minutes and 46 seconds. See, all this, for example, minute details and all will not take it. Because this examination, UPSC civil service examination particularly, it is not about the facts. It is all about the concept and understanding. Okay. So all the small facts and nuances, we are not worried about it. But only thing is that I know the fact that it is not 365 days and 6 hours. Okay. An examination, always I used to say that whenever the 4 options are given, don't go for the correct option. Don't expect the correct option to be there. Always go for what? Best option. Among the 4 options given, what exactly is the best? Somewhere you have to take it. Okay, right. Now, in this chapter, in this topic, okay, what is perihelion and aphelion? That also assume that you know, right? Whenever I just talk about the distance between Earth and Sun, on an average, I said it is approximately how many kilometers? 150? 150 what? Million kilometers. Okay. Somewhere I told you, right, to be very precise, this is 149.6 million kilometers. That is the fact. But somewhere go for rounded off figures. Now, this average distance between Sun and Earth is very popularly called as what? 1 astronomical unit. And what is this astronomical unit? Somewhere I said it is all about what? Unit of distance. How exactly you will be measuring distance, right? See, in space, normally only 2 popular units you measure it. Okay. One you call them as what? Astronomical unit. 2 we'll be calling it as what? Light year. Okay. So when exactly we'll be using this astronomical unit? Normally when the distance is less, I'll be using or we'll be using this astronomical unit. So most of the time to somewhere bring the distance or somewhere say for example almost depict the distance within the solar system, we'll be using this astronomical unit as a unit, right? Whereas outside the solar system, we'll be using this unit called as what? Light year. Okay, right. So given the average distance, and we also know what exactly is perihelion and aphelion. What is perihelion? The nearest distance or the minimum distance that exists between Sun and Earth, we call them as what? Perihelion. And the maximum distance that exists between Sun and Earth, we call them as what? Aphelion. Okay. Now, we also know approximately which part of the year this perihelion and aphelion occurs. Approximately. Right? It is on January 3rd, you will be experiencing what? Perihelion. And when exactly aphelion? July 4th. See, why this fact is important? Because when I just talk about, say, for example, January 3rd, right? Normally we have a perception that if the sun is very close, what will happen to the insolation? Insolation will be more, temperature will be more. That's what the normal perception is. But when I just talk about January 3rd, I understand this is one of the peak winter days in what? Northern hemisphere. So this particular fact also tells you or gives you an idea that distance between Sun and Earth is nowhere related to what? Season signs. Okay, right. But still, will this distance between Sun and Earth have any influence in the insolation, if you ask me? Obviously, yes. Now, normally what happens, my dear friends, assume that any normal day insolation received by Earth is somewhere around 100%. On the day of perihelion, what will be the insolation? Forget about the numbers. Will it be more than 100% or less than 100%? It will be more than 100%. To be very precise, it is approximately 103% Earth will be receiving during what? Perihelion position. Similarly, my difference, if I just talk about aphelion, right? Fine. When I just talk about aphelion, my difference, approximately, say for example, it will be somewhere Earth will be receiving only 97% of the insolation, what normally it receives. Now the question is, where exactly this marginal increase in insolation may largely affect, if you ask me, particularly southern hemisphere. Right. When I just talk about southern hemisphere, what happens in southern hemisphere, my dear friends? For example, I'm just talking somewhere about the month of January and say, for example, the month of December. Right. Somewhere, if I just talk about southern hemisphere, what exactly happens? To be very precise, right? Not even an entire southern hemisphere. If I'm just taking the classical case of Australia, right? Normally we say that Australian summers are very harsh. What is the reason for this Australian summer becoming very harsh? Because I understand that Australian summer almost experience a dual effectivity. What is a dual effectivity? When exactly Australian summers, right? When exactly Australia experience summers? Month of December, month of January. Month of December and January is their peak summers. Okay. Now what happens? December 22nd approximately, Southern Hemisphere experience what? Their summer solstice. Okay. When Southern Hemisphere experience summer solstice, what about Northern Hemisphere? We'll be experiencing what? Winter solstice. Peak days of a winter. Southern Hemisphere will be experiencing what? Peak days of what? Summer. Right? So given the case, my dear friends, already they'll be experiencing, Australia will be experiencing what? Summer solstice. Am I right? It means they are peak summers. Whenever I say peak summers, the length of the day will be very high. Angle of sun's rays will be more. The temperature somewhere they experience will also be what? Very, very high. Am I right? Okay. Now see, apart from that, what else is happening is, if you ask me, month of January, early weeks of January, what exactly Australia is experiencing? What? Perihelion position. Okay. Already it is summer. Already the temperature is very, very high. During this season, if the sun is further close to Earth, what I understand, there is a marginal increase in the insolation. This marginal increase in the insolation will drastically affect the climatic condition of what? Australia. And that's the reason, a very unique pattern of Australian settlement, right? When you just talk about Australian settlements, you hardly find any settlement in what? Interiors of Australia. Where exactly Australian settlement is predominantly located? Along the coastal areas, right? Then comes one more question, coastal areas, right? When I talk about coastal areas, why exactly coastal areas, right? The settlement is prevailing, if you ask me, because again, I am just somewhere connecting a point that normally we say that water maintains temperature, right? Fluctuation of temperature and water will be less. Coastal area will be behaving more like water itself. If temperature, say for example, as I said, water, temperature may not go very high or temperature may not dip very, very low, right? If water can maintain temperature, the coastal regions of Australia can also what? Maintain temperature. Okay, right. All right, my dear friends. What is perihelion? Aphelion, we have just said. In this topics, right, all this basic facts, if you ask me, what is very, very important, this topic called a season cycle is very important, right? Normally, on an average, once in 3 years, we have one question, right? Certainly speaking, right, that doesn't mean that the next 3 years, the same pattern will be followed, okay? But going by the average, right, 3 years once we are experiencing or somewhere we are, right, having one question asked from this particular topic. Okay. Now, what is a season, my dear friends? Okay, I'll tell you, say, for example, global classification of the season, right? You call them as summer, you call them as winter, you call them as autumn, you call them as what? Spring. Now, for example, if I'm raising a question, what do you mean by summer? Summer means a longer day. What do you mean by winter? Winter means shorter days, or I can call them as what? Longer nights. Okay. Now, what is a season? The temporal variation that happens in the length of the day, okay, during the different parts of the year. That is what you call them as what? Seasons. Okay. Let's say, for example, at some part of the year, the length of the day at one particular place will be very long. I call them as what? Summer. Right? The same place during some other part of the year, right, the length of the day can slightly decrease. You call them as what? Winter. Now, the question is, what is a season? I understood. There are 4 global classification of season. And you also know the fact the seasonal classification is not universal. Everywhere I cannot have the same seasonal classification. Why? Because, right, globally I know there is a region called equator. What are the different seasons equator experience? 4 seasons. What are the 4 seasons? Very good. So I cannot call it as summer. Okay. I can call it as what? Hot, 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 and hot. Am I right? These are the only 4 seasons, right? I'm not using this word called as summer. Why exactly I'm not using this word called as summer in equator? I'll tell you. Because what do you mean by summer? Longer days. It means length of the day will be more than what? Length of the night. If that is the condition or this is the occasion, I'll be calling this, say, for example, situation as what? Summer. But equator, I do not experience this phenomenon. Equator, always, any day you take it, length of the day will be equal to what? Length of the night. That's the reason somewhere I said equator experience equinox every day. Okay. So what I want to tell you, this climatic classification or seasonal classification is not universal. Even India, when I just talk about Indian classification, right, we don't have same classification. What are the 4 seasons we have in India? You call them as what? Dry winters, dry summers, advancing monsoon, and retreating monsoon. These are the 4 seasons, right? Even the rainy season is included as what? Seasons in India. Almost we will be having a rhythmic. Okay. Okay, whatever it is the case, right? Globally, when I just talk about this seasonal cycle, 4 seasons, say for example, they are somewhere demarcated. One I call them as what? Summer, winter, spring, and autumn. Okay. Now, what I understand, summer or winter is hemisphere specific. Whenever northern hemisphere experience summer, southern hemisphere will be experiencing what? Winter. So, I can never use a term saying that Earth is experiencing summer. Entire world will not experience summer together. Again, I am telling you, summer is hemisphere specific. Always there is a compensation between the hemispheres. If northern hemisphere experience one particular season, southern hemisphere will be experiencing exactly opposite season. Always there is a compensation. Now, why this season cycle occurs? Why exactly the variation in the length of the day happens, if you ask me? The primary reason is, always see, every time we used to say, rotation causes day-night difference. Revolution causes what? Season cycle. So certainly speaking, I am just going to talk about revolution, right? Revolution plays a very, very important role. Because say for example, it is a cycle. Summer becomes winter, or summer, say for example, from summer it becomes autumn, from autumn it becomes winter, from winter it becomes what? Spring. So it goes for a rhythmic cycle. What makes it as a cycle is what? Revolution. But what makes the variation in the length of the day is actually what? The tilt of Earth. But even somewhere we believe that if Earth would have not been tilted, if Earth is not tilted, certainly speaking, right, I'll be having revolution will be taking place, but the variation in the length of the day will not take place, right? So what is the reason for season cycle? Two reasons are there, right? Even this plus side will remove it. I use this word called as what? And means what? Both, right? Even if one is not there, assume that Earth is revolving, but without a tilted axis, then also I will not have a season cycle. If I just take it vice versa, assume that Earth is tilted but not revolving, then also I will not have a season cycle, right? Both put together, you need it to have what? Season cycles, right? Because of the tilt of the Earth, my dear, what I understand, at one point of time, the northern hemisphere will be tilted more towards the sun. Whichever hemisphere is tilted more towards the sun, this hemisphere will be more exposed to the sun. Obviously speaking, the length of the day will increase. Diagrammatically, this diagram shows this length of the day, how exactly this length of the day increases. What exactly you're seeing here, it's a very thin line. Same thin line, you call them as what? You call them as what? My friends, this is axis. Okay. Somewhere I just marked the dotted line. I'll make it as a bolder lines. Okay. I just marked the dotted lines, right? You call them as what? Circle of illumination, right? You may ask a question, right? What is this? Drawing a line and calling it as a circle. Okay, right? Perception, which angle you are seeing it, right? Now, the circle of illumination is the one, my difference, which will be dividing the day and dividing the night. All right. So, whichever region of the earth crosses the circle of illumination, right? Either the sunrise will happen or the sunset will happen. Okay.